Hi, my name is Linda Oltman, and I am the Education Coordinator for the Perkiomen Watershed Conservancy. And today I'm going to do a story time and a couple activities to celebrate Earth Day. So Earth Day is celebrated on April 22nd every year. And this year happens to be the 50th Earth Day. So the first Earth Day was 1970. And at that time, there was a growing movement to try to protect our water and our air because things had gotten pretty bad with the air quality and the water quality. So since then, we've made a lot of progress, but we still have lots of things that we can do to make our Earth better. So we'll be talking about some of those things today. So the first thing I want to do is read one of my favorite stories. It's a little bit silly, but it's a great message. It's the story of Frog Belly Ratbone, and the author is Timothy Basil Eyring. And you might see a crazy kitten running in the background, so just ignore that. So here in the beginning of the story, we have a very dull gray looking place. In a dull, gray, endless place called Cement Land, there lived a very special boy. The boy had one singular wish. He wished to find a treasure. Each day, the boy searched through the heaping piles of junk that collected around Cement Land. He found greasy toaster ovens, broken TVs, and wet, smelly socks, but no treasure. "The only thing in these junk piles is junk," cried the boy. He was angry enough to give up when all of a sudden he spied something unexpected. It was a strange and wonderful box. Attached to the box was a wrinkled note which said, "Put my wondrous riches in the earth and enjoy." The boy pried open the lock with a twisty piece of wire and lifted the lid. Here he goes. The box was bursting with dazzling colors. "I found a treasure!" shouted the boy. He took one of the beautiful packages that look like this and tore it open. But inside the package, there were no bright colors at all, just hundreds of tiny gray specks. Where were all the wondrous riches? The boy wasn't sure, but he carefully prepared some earth. He sprinkled in a few specks and waited 2 or 3 minutes, and nothing happened. Deeply dejected, the boy went home. He did not realize that the unguarded treasures were now in terrible danger. The next day, the boy returned to a horrifying sight. The specks had been dug up. "Thieves!" he screeched. In a flash, he had a plan. He ran straight to the nearest junk pile. That is one big junk pile. There he gathered wet, smelly socks. He found moldy pillow stuffing and scraggly wires. He patched, buttoned, sewed, and zipped. Soon a creature began to take shape. It had crooked, bony arms and a giant-sized belly. "You'll be finished in just a second," said the boy. He told his creation. "All you need now is a crown." There it is. "Stand tall, Frog-Belly Ratbone," shouted the boy, waving his hands like a wizard. "I dub thee king of the treasures. Frog-Belly Ratbone 1, 2, 3, you are the monster who will protect the specks." So he made a monster and named it Frog-Belly Ratbone. "Monster?" said Frog-Belly Ratbone. "But my dear boy, you have made me far too good-looking to be a monster. And by the way," he continued,
My socks are very moist, and my underwear is rather picky. Sorry about your underwear, said the boy, but I need a monster to scare the thieves away from the specks. I mean the treasures. Frogbelly wanted to see the treasures. The boy handed him a package and let him read the note. Frogbelly sprang into the air. My dear boy, you have found some wondrous riches. We must put them in the earth, just as the note says. So Frogbelly is very excited. But I already did that, said the boy. Nothing happened. Well, do it again, said Frogbelly. Frogbelly, Ratbone, 1, 2, 3. You must be patient, and then you'll see. And so Frogbelly and the boy started digging holes. They also filled jars and cans and boxes with earth and sprinkled specks into each one. They sprinkled specks all around Cementland. When the sun began to set, it was time for the boy to go home. Watch out for thieves, he warned, and shook Frogbelly's hand and scurried off. I wonder if the thieves will come back. Frogbelly stood all alone in the spooky shadows. The sky grew darker and darker. Those thieves will surely be back tonight, he thought. Just then he heard footsteps. Someone was trying to move very carefully, stepping quietly on the crinkled cans and squishy newspapers. Frogbelly waited, not making a sound. At that very moment, sneaking through the junk piles were 3 thieves, a rat, a rabbit, and a fruit fly. They were licking their chops and adjusting their masks when an eerie voice floated towards them through the darkness. Frogbelly, Ratbone, 1, 2, 3. The specks in the earth are protected by me. You must be patient, and then you will see. Oh, see what? The thieves asked each other. They were shaking in their tracks, and then they did see. A giant, scary monster with long, bony arms and wet, smelly socks. Ah! The thieves ran for their lives. Whoa, Frogbelly did good. The next morning, the boy was happy to discover that Frogbelly had saved the treasures. What do we do now, he asked. Now, said Frogbelly, we must give the treasures lots of water. So the boy filled a watering can and they went to work. A few days later, the boy noticed something quite strange. The boxes were twittering, the jars and cans trembled. Look, Frogbelly, he said. Slowly and very shyly, the treasure was beginning to reveal itself. Look at this. What do you suppose that is? The wondrous riches are here at last, Frogbelly cheered. Frogbelly and the boy were so excited. From inside a junk pile, the thieves were listening. They felt terrible about having tried to steal such wonderful treasures. The rabbit jumped out of his hiding place and landed right in Frogbelly's arms. We'll never steal again, the rabbit cried. And we'll return all the specks we took, said the fruit fly. Please let us help you take care of the treasures, said the rat. So Frogbelly and the boy forgave the thieves, and now they were a team. As they watered the treasures to help them grow bigger, they sang together. Frogbelly, Ratbone, 1, 2, 3. You must be patient and you will see. Soon 1 flower appeared, then 3, then 100. Cementland is filled with colors now, shouted the boy. Look how different now, right? We started out very gray, and now they planted the treasures and there's flowers everywhere. Just when it seemed that nothing better could happen, the fruit fly discovered a bright red strawberry. And here's a zucchini, cried the rat. Go ahead, rabbit, urged Frogbelly. Pick the biggest carrot you can and pull with all your might. That's a big carrot that rabbit's pulling out. That night, the 5 friends prepared a feast for a king. 3 cheers for Frogbelly, Ratbone, 1, 2, 3, because thanks to Frogbelly, they were patient, and they did see. And they made Cementland beautiful.
So in the story that we just read of Frogbelly, Ratbone, we saw that they were able to plant seeds and make Cementland a much more beautiful place for all of them. And they also were able to get food from those plants that they planted. So planting seeds is something that all of us can do. So around our own homes, we can plant trees and bushes and wildflowers, and all those things really help the earth. Now, the other thing that we saw in this story was that there were piles of junk all over Cementland. This one right here was quite a big junk pile. So, we know as people, we do create some waste in our everyday lives. So what we're going to talk about now is some ways that we can reduce the amount of waste so we don't have piles like this around our neighborhoods. So I wanted to introduce something called the 3 R's. So the 3 R's, the first R stands for reduce, the second R stands for reuse, and the third R stands for recycle. So these are basically 3 ways that we can reduce, the amount of waste that we have. So when we talk about reducing our waste, we're talking about things like using less of something. So maybe we're turning off the lights when we leave a room, so we're using less electricity. Or maybe we're carpooling with a friend, so we're using less gas. Or maybe we're turning off the water when we're brushing our teeth, so we're using less water. So that's what it means to reduce. So this is probably the best way to tackle the problems. So we can always be looking for ways to reduce our waste. Now reuse is a little bit different. So reuse means that we're taking something that was used for one purpose and maybe using it for another purpose. So let's say, for instance, we had a coffee can that was empty, and maybe we decide to save the coffee can and decorate it and use it for a pencil holder. So that's an example of reusing something. And then the last one is recycle. And you have probably all seen this sign. So anything that has this sign on it is going to be something that can be recycled. So that means that the item, whatever it is, let's say it's paper. Paper can be recycled pretty easily. So they take it to the recycling plant and they break it down into its parts basically, and they can use it to make new paper products. So it's using those same materials to make new things. So that can be done with glass, with cans, with plastics, and with paper. So it might be fun for you to take a look around your house and look in your cabinets and, underneath your sink and all those places, and see how many places you can find this recycle sign appearing. So just kind of give you a better idea of what actually can be recycled. Okay, so what we're going to do now is a little activity. So parents, if you're watching this with your children, what we're going to do is I'm going to lay some cards out on the table here, and then once they're all laid out, it might be a good time to pause the video, and then maybe you can work with your child to help them match pictures of things that are not great for the earth with things that are better for the earth. Okay, so first I have a set of cards with pictures of things that are not great for the environment. So this is a picture of a styrofoam food container. Styrofoam is, basically a single-use plastic, so you use it once, goes in the trash. Styrofoam basically does not break down ever. So this is not, something that's great for the environment. And then I have a picture of plastic utensils, plastic forks and knives. Again,
Usually these are used only one time, and then, you know, they are disposed of. And again, plastics really just take a very long time to break down in the environment. And plastic grocery bags. Okay, we're probably most people are aware at this point that plastic bags, it's, you know, it's better to not use as many plastic bags. And plastic water bottles is another one that is not great for the earth. And plastic straws. And the last one I have here is a picture of water running out of the faucet. So this is an example of leaving the water on. Let's say you're brushing your teeth and you just let the water run the entire time. That's what this picture is showing us. Now, I'm going to lay out cards right next to them. I'm going to kind of mix them up, so you'll have to try to match them. And these are better ideas. So for each one of these bad practices over here, there's going to be a card that represents a better practice. So I'm going to lay these out here. And then once we get them all laid out, you can pause the video and then you and your child can take a minute to see if you can match them. Okay, so hopefully you've all had a chance to try to figure out which ones belong together. So I'm going to start up here with our plastic water bottle. And a better idea for the earth than using a plastic single-use disposable water bottle would be to get a nice reusable water bottle that can be, you know, cleaned and reused many times. So I'm going to put that one on top as our good practice. And then we have this styrofoam food container. So a better idea is, again, something that can be washed and reused many times to store our food. So that is a better practice. Then we have our plastic utensils, and we are going to match that with our silverware that again can be washed and reused many times. So, you know, we're always trying to avoid those single-use plastics. And here we have our plastic grocery bags, and we're going to match that with the reusable grocery bags that can be, you know, reused many times instead of the single-use plastic bags. And we have our plastic straws here. Now we kind of have two options for the straws. We could either use a paper straw, or we could just say no thank you to the straw, right? So, you know, if you don't really need to drink out of a straw, you can just, you know, pass on the straw. But if you like straws, you can try to find a paper one, which is better for the environment. And then the picture of the water running, we are going to turn off that water when we are brushing our teeth, you know, washing our hands, washing dishes. Whenever we can save some of that fresh, clean water, we're going to do that to help protect our earth. So we're going to finish up today with a story called This Is Our Earth. It's kind of a celebration of our beautiful planet. This is our earth to cherish and love, to clean and protect and take care of. From the mountains so high with their rugged terrain to the valleys below and the green grassy plain. From the tall wooded forests and their towering trees, these are some really big trees, to the fish, whales, and dolphins that live in the seas. From the deserts of sand where the tall cactus grow, to the cold Arctic north with its glaciers and snow. From the rainforest where the wild parrot calls, near the swift flowing rivers and lush waterfalls. To the wide open prairies where elk can be found and thousands of prairie dogs that live underground. From the shimmering lakes where flocks of geese swim and the blue jay keeps watch from a lofty tree limb. To the farms in the country where cows graze on hay, and the parks in the cities where children play. So take a good look, and I think you will find that this beautiful earth is one of a kind. Let's do our share to lend a hand to preserve all that we have in this wonderful land. This is our earth to cherish and love, to clean and protect from below and above.
So thank you for tuning in and watching this story time today about Earth Time and Earth Day. So happy Earth Day. And one more thing I wanted to mention, if you're inspired to do some planting from our story, Frog Belly, I wanted to mention that the Conservancy is going to be doing an online plant sale beginning May 1st for native wildflowers and other sorts of plants and trees. So you can check out our website and hopefully get yourself some native plants to put in your yard. Thanks. Bye-bye.